Over for Deathrow Records? It's a question ringing throughout the music world. You heard it as far back as 1996 when Dr. Dre, the star producer and artist who founded Deathrow Records with Suge Knight, decided that the label was no longer his vibe. But even without Dr. Dre, Tupac Shakur, Snoop Doggy Dogg, and others keep Deathrow a multi-million-dollar force to be reckoned with. But the force unravels. Tupac goes down in a hail of gunfire. Suge Knight goes to jail for a probation violation. How did it come to this? How did a black-owned music giant stoop to a level of alleged brutality and corruption? Two books now offer answers. In Have Gun Will Travel, music writer Ronin tells his version of the spectacular rise and violent fall of Deathrow Records. In Chosen by Fate, Malik Lee Jr. chronicles his life inside what he calls a do-or-die violent atmosphere. As Snoop's bodyguard, Lee was the rapper's co-defendant in a murder trial. Now Snoop Doggy Dogg says he wants to leave Deathrow and go to a place where he doesn't fear for his life. With he and others taking their business elsewhere, lawsuits and criminal investigations facing Suge's empire, who knows what will happen to this American dream that some now call an American tragedy.
God won't let Deathrow fail. The people won't let Deathrow fail.
Doc C. McCoy, BET Tonight.
Good evening and welcome to BET Tonight. I'm Tavis Smiley. We are glad that you are with us. Suge Knight has been called one of the most dangerous men in the recording industry, not only by his competition, but also by those who actually worked with Suge. We're going to talk tonight about the rise and fall of Deathrow Records with your phone calls, of course, in just a moment. Meet our guest tonight. Big Syke joins us via satellite from Los Angeles. Syke, a former protege of the late Tupac Shakur. Joined here in studio tonight by Ronin, author of Have Gun Will Travel, the spectacular rise and violent fall of Deathrow Records. And joined tonight by Malik Lee Jr., former bodyguard for Snoop Doggy Dogg and author of Chosen by Fate. Thanks to everybody for coming on. How you guys doing?
All right.
Good. Let me start with you. Let me start with you, Ronin. Let me quote from you and ask you to extrapolate on this quote. Suge's story doesn't have much to do with hip-hop music. It's about money, power, greed, and narcissism. Some strong words.
Yeah, and I wrote them.
Why?
Because basically, when you look at Suge, but you look at the other players involved as well, you know, the people who were giving Suge business guidance, that's what becomes apparent, you know.
If it's about money, power, and certainly greed, what makes Deathrow in that regard different than any other record company out there?
Well, that's one of the things like a review in the New York Times slammed me for, because I didn't, you know. I would just say this, you know, it's just business as usual, and Deathrow was like part of like the latest chapter, you know what I mean?
Okay, let me pull
all labels.
All labels are the same. It's business as usual.
Okay, let me ask you, Syke. Let me come to you first. Of all, how you doing, man?
I'm doing all right.
Good.
How you doing, Ted?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for coming on the show. Let me ask you. Let me pick up on what Ronin said a moment ago. If in fact most record companies are about money, power, and greed, what then made Deathrow different than any other record company? Are Ronin and Malik and others beating up unnecessarily on Deathrow Records? If the entire industry is this way, why beat up on Deathrow?
Well, you got to look at it because it goes back for centuries. All record labels are doing their artists a certain way. Just some of them are smarter and they get their lawyers and they handle their business. But every record companies, they position is straight money. That's the bottom line, because we all in it for money. Even the rappers, they say they're not, but they are.
Okay, Malik, I got to take a break here. When we come back, I want to ask you to tell me what you meant when you said that Deathrow Records was a street-smart company, but a company that often involved itself in highly illegal business dealings. You were there. You worked with Snoop, and you certainly know a little bit about what happened. We'll get your thoughts on this. And continue our conversation with Ronin and Syke as well. You are watching BET Tonight. Conversation now about the rise and fall of Deathrow Records with your phone calls in just a moment. Let me reintroduce our guest tonight, joined tonight by Big Syke, former recording artist who actually recording artist now, who joins us via satellite from Los Angeles. Ronin Rowe, author. I'm sorry, Syke, I ain't trying to play you, man. My bad.
Oh, no, it's all good. It's all good.
Joined tonight by Ronin Rowe, author of Have Gun Will Travel, The Spectacular Rise and Violent Fall of Deathrow Records, and McKinley Malik Lee Jr., former bodyguard for Snoop Doggy Dogg, and the author of a new book as well, entitled Chosen by Fate. Malik, speaking of Chosen by Fate, I mentioned before the break, I wanted to ask you to talk to me about this comment you make in your book, that Deathrow was a company that was street smart, but a company that often engaged itself in highly illegal business dealings. Why do you say that?
When you grow up in an environment and you learn in that environment, you have the information to deal with the things that you know. Basically, when Suge had stepped into the scene, he had a level of information that he had learned from the streets. And if that's all he knew, that's all really he could do. You know what I'm saying? So when we were all coming together, everything was real. It wasn't about anything else but people being loyal and being real to you, you know, and making the money. And I think that's what the whole record business, from society perceiving us as having a ghetto mentality, that's all that we had in the beginning, was loyalty. You see what I'm saying? If somebody tells us that they're going to give us something, or money's going to be made, that's what we expect.
Okay, let me piggyback on your word loyalty. You used the word. Let me follow up on it. How loyal do you think? I think it's pretty clear to the average person how loyal the artists on Deathrow were to Suge. They put the albums out. They made the records sold. Obviously, they made a lot of money for Suge. The artists were loyal to Suge. Right. How loyal do you think Suge was, in retrospect, to his artist?
At the same time, I cannot speak for Suge's perception of loyalty. I can just see, based on his actions.
What's your perception of loyalty and how loyal
my
he was
perception
to
of
his
loyalty,
artist?
I mean, my loyalty is to righteousness. It's not to Deathrow Records. It wasn't to the Dog Pound. It wasn't to Snoop. It wasn't to anybody. It was to righteousness. You know what I'm saying? And being righteous in a situation, that's what loyalty is to me. You know, so I feel that even if, you know, the situations that went on with the money, I don't think that it was done in the right way. I think that a lot of different avenues could have been taken, you know, to make sure that everybody was taken care of.
Syke, you and Pac were homeboys, no question about that. Tell me, let me put it this way. There are a number of artists, talking specifically now about Nate Dogg and Snoop Doggy Dogg. You saw the article in Vibe magazine recently. Both of them said they were surprised that they were being ripped off. I'm paraphrasing their words now. They were surprised they were being ripped off in the way that they were by Suge, and they were not aware of what was really going on with their money until the lawsuit was brought by Afeni Shakur, Tupac's mother. It was that lawsuit that opened their eyes to how they, in fact, felt that they were being cheated. I wonder now, as we look at Nate Dogg leave Deathrow, Snoop now has left Deathrow. I'm wondering whether or not, and this is a speculative question, but I'm wondering whether or not, if Tupac was still around, you think he'd be making an exodus out of Deathrow as well?
Well, from what my understanding was, that he probably was planning to leave. So, I mean, you know, no one knows what Pac was going to do, because he's not here to answer that question. But far as the business go, you take care of your business from the jump, and you won't have these problems. So if Suge was up on them knowing something, see this, let me explain something right quick.
Sure.
This whole business is straight about shh, don't say nothing.
Exactly.
If you don't say nothing, you ain't gonna get your publishing. You're not gonna get your royalties. You're not gonna get your mechanicals, because you know nothing about it. So that's what Suge played. That's how Suge played the game. If you didn't know, but thing about it, you also got to look at Suge made all them. So you got to give Suge his props too. You know, he made all them. He made they stars now. They can go out and make millions of dollars. Suge got paid. Now it's time for them to get paid. So I feel them too. And Suge, in his situation, that's whatever he was going through.
But does Snoop really have the right to leave Deathrow, to use your word, Syke, to go out and make money? Suge made him.
Yeah, no question.
But as I understand it though, he still has 6 records that he owes Deathrow. But yet he's jumped up and gone to Master P.
Okay, look, this. If I'm getting robbed, what makes you think that I'm gonna stay there?
Right.
After I find I'm getting robbed, what makes you think I'm gonna stay there? I'm not. I'm going someplace else.
Okay.
So in business, this is what I tell everybody in business. You start off right, you're gonna end up right. So when you start off wrong, at some point they're gonna find out they've been did wrong.
Okay.
So that's the bottom line.
Ronin, you say of Suge that Suge treated his artists like a lot of white record companies treat their artists. He gave them lavish gifts, cars, jewelry, etc., but he kept the real money away from them. Didn't give them the real money, just gave them gifts.
Yeah, see, what he did was, like you said, you know, you have to put it in the proper context. But, you know, I think personally that maybe in the beginning, you know what I'm saying, Suge may have had good intentions, but I also feel that a lot of the people that were brought in on the ground floor of this label, when I was there before I even gave him the deal, I saw from the first time I saw them, when Dre introduced me to some of them who remain nameless, but they just didn't really seem too promising or inspire trust, you know what I'm saying? Like, I believe that, yo, if someone doesn't defend those who are absent, don't trust them. And I learned a long time ago to listen to everything a man has to say, you know what I'm saying? So I saw that a lot of the people that were coming in were, you know, ambitious, but there's a difference between ambition and cutting throats.
You say in the book, Ronin, that a lot of folk can understand, as Malik said a moment ago, you can only deal with what you know. They came from the streets, that's how they acted when they got in a business setting, even though they're making millions, in fact billions of dollars for record companies. But you argue that a lot of folk could deal with the way they started out, with the gangster lifestyle. But when the money started rolling in, when they really had a chance to separate themselves from that kind of life and do better, a lot of folks expected and thought, perhaps, that they would change that kind of lifestyle, but that never happened.
Yeah, in some cases, yeah. And I think that one important thing that you gotta, you know, point out is that Suge is kind of like Joe Kennedy, you know what I mean?
In what regard?
Well, basically, it's just someone who had one business and wants to, you know, get into another field, another business venture, and capture that market share.
Unless you was there, you don't know. You don't know. You can't say that, man, unless you was there making deals, baby. How you gonna speak up on a man and you wasn't there making no deals? Was you there when the deals was going down?
I spoke to the
Was
people.
you there when the deals went down?
No, I wasn't, but I spoke to the people who signed the deals.
Okay, well, you can't speak on that, man. It's just like an eyewitness to a crime. If you wasn't there, you cannot speak on that.
Yeah,
that's what I say about Suge. I'm not here defending Suge.
Now, what I'm trying to say is...
I'm not here defending Suge, but, man, that's the bottom line.
And I understand your point. I respect your opinion, Syke, and I agree. But I think that you might have misjudged me. What I was trying to say was that Suge was just basically trying to enter a business, and he shouldn't be judged just like everything in the world is all his fault, and like he created all of these, like, you know, he's the first one that ever did these things. Because he was just trying to be in business.
He's definitely not.
You know what I mean? But I think, like, you know, Suge was just in business. He had good intentions. And, yo, you know, you got to be careful who you let into business sometimes. Because they might lead you down the wrong path.
Everybody make mistakes, man. Everybody make mistakes. You know, and if you're still alive, you can change.
Syke,
if you don't,
that's right,
then, you know.
Syke,
you have the desire to change.
Stand by 1 second. Let's take a break. We'll come back and continue our conversation. We're back after this break.
Me and Snoop about the clan. I'm losing my religion. I'm vicious on these new pigeons. You might be deep in this game, but you got the rules missing.
Welcome back to BET Tonight. We continue our conversation about the rise and fall of Deathrow Records and its founder, Suge Knight. Malik, let me ask you. I don't want to be too sensitive here, but I want to probe this though. You and Snoop were boys. You were Snoop's bodyguards, as we've said a couple times tonight. Snoop has said that one of the reasons why he's left Deathrow Records is because he fears for his life.
That bothers me.
He fears for his life. I wonder, as his former bodyguard, whether or not you think at this point anyone can protect Snoop from the inevitable, or what some people would see as the inevitable. Let me rephrase it.
Well, first of all, Snoop and I have a completely different relationship than bodyguard-client. I mean, true enough, I am from the dog pound. We're a family, you know what I'm saying? Sure. And it's completely different. We went through a situation that was traumatic. You know, I don't feel right now that the only protection that he has is God, basically. You know, it bothers me to hear the things that I'm hearing right now going around about him leaving Death Row, the way that he's leaving Death Row, him wanting to leave Death Row like that, putting it out there like that. I don't agree with that because of the nature of the mentalities of everybody else. You see what I'm saying? I think that, you know, it could have been done a different way. If he wanted to go, cool, you know, go ahead and leave. But to keep constantly talking about a situation, you bring it into existence.
Well, the reason why, let me probe that. The reason why I hear, that Snoop continues to say that in as public a fashion as possible. This isn't rocket science. You know why he's doing it. If in fact he fears for his life, he knows about putting out there over and over again that he fears for his life, and that's why he's leaving. If he comes up dead at some point, we all know where to look. Is that not why you think he keeps saying that over and over again?
This is my perception. When you tell someone what you're thinking, whether it be good or bad, then you let them know what you're thinking. You see what I'm saying? So if there's somebody out there who hypothetically may not like Snoop, may not like what he's from, what he claims to be about, then that is inviting violence to come into the picture. You see what I'm saying? And they're looking at him like, oh, he a punk anyway. He put it out. You know, to me, that's not necessary.
Oh, Snoop ain't no punk.
Oh, believe me,
baby.
Don't get
it twisted.
Oh, man, I know that. What I'm saying is, what I'm saying is, I know that. I know that from realer than anybody. But what I'm saying is,
a perception.
Right. What I'm saying is, everyone else who's listening to that, who don't know Snoop, can look at him and say, oh, he's scared. That's what I'm saying. You know, like that. Oh, I know Snoop is not a punk. I live like that. That's my perception.
Hey, Syke, hold on one second. Let me get some calls in for you and for Ronin and for Malik, and I'll get your comment in just a second here. Let me go first to, here in Washington. Tyrone, thanks for holding you on BET tonight.
Yes, I would like to say a couple of comments too. I think it's Malik, the bodyguard. All right, there's a couple of things I have an issue with. The first thing is that I'm pretty sure once you were Snoop's bodyguard and you were in Death Row, you knew that there was something going on just besides music, correct?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so now that Death Row seems to be falling down, it seems to me that you're just coming clean with everything. Now, a true person, not true gangster, but a true person that is true to their art would say, okay, I was in it before, and now that it is caving in, now I'm going to tell everything. I mean, it doesn't show loyalty at any point.
Oh, praise God. I thank you for that. That's your perception. My perception, I mean, when I was in this situation, everything that I saw going on, I did what I was supposed to do. And that is talk to my friend, my client, my homie, whatever you want to call it. I talked to him and let him know from what I saw concerning the situations. I cannot make him do anything else other than listen to what I'm saying, and with the hopes of expectation that he would listen. I cannot make him make any changes in his life other than the changes that he's willing to make on his own. And in my book, I'm not coming clean with anything. I'm telling a story that I went through. This book is not to promote, it's not even like that. This book is about a man who went through a situation, trials and tribulations, that God used him for a particular reason to be there to save a life. That's all that my book is really about. My book is not about bashing, coming clean with anything. I'm telling you the truth, the reality of the situation, because I was in it.
Ronin, let me ask you. You used the phrase that maybe you're stupid for caring about people, which is why you say you wrote the book. Maybe
That's not in style
right,
today.
but you said maybe you're stupid. Let me ask you whether or not you think in reflection that you are in fact stupid, because when Suge and others see this book, that your behind may be on the line, that you may be running around scared. What do you think?
And that's a fact, yeah. And I can't front and be like, Mr. Macho Man. All I could do is be like, You
scared? Are you scared of what may happen to you because of writing the book?
Yeah, of course.
You are?
Of course, sometimes.
Malik, you scared?
No, matter of fact, Suge read my book. You know what I'm saying? Suge read my book and he approves of it. I didn't go, when I wrote this book based on my perception, man, what I went through. You see what I'm saying? For me, this is how I feel about it. I think that God gives everybody a talent and an ability to do something, whether it be rap, whatever it is that you do.
Right.
If you do it in righteousness and you give him the glory, everything is going to happen positive. And I think that the rise and fall of Deathrow Records is an example. You see what I'm saying? Sure. I think that Suge is in a position, Snoop was in a position, everybody in Deathrow Records is in a position to help people based on their prosperity. That's what I think Deathrow's.
Syke, let me ask you right quick. I got 30 seconds here before I got a break. Let me ask you what you think right quick of folks who write books about Death Row. What do you think of these guys writing these books?
Well, I mean, that's their business, man. If they scared, they just scared.
If you were in their shoes, would you have written a book? Syke.
Well, I wouldn't write no book about nothing that I don't know about. Exactly. If I knew about it, then, if I felt it. But number one, no dry snitching, no snitching, man. You can't snitch in the game because the streets. You got to come back to the streets, man. Exactly. The streets will always be here. So if you start snitching, everybody know the consequences.
All right. On that note, we'll take a break. We'll come back and take more of your phone calls as we continue our conversation about the rise and fall of Death Row Records. You are watching BET Tonight on Black Entertainment Television. We return in just a moment.
Always.
Thanks, man.
What I want to ask is that with the money that Death Row's making, they said they made something like they're grossing at $100 million. Why didn't they diversify into other forms of entertainment or other forms of music?
Good question. Ronin, Malik, anybody?
Well, I think that, right, I mean, it was that was something that was coming, you know, later on. I mean, everything would happen so fast. Success was so fast. You know, everybody was doing what they loved.
We should say, in all fairness to Death Row Records, though, that everything about Death Row, I think all of you will admit, that everything about Death Row was not negative. Suge, I live in L.A., you live in L.A. Suge did a lot of good in L.A. with a lot of the money that he made.
I mean, people, they have the wrong conception. See, that's what I'm saying. Syke, you know the whole situation. You know, it's a family, and it wasn't even about negativity. When you had a situation that happened when we went someplace, it wasn't Death Row. It was always somebody else around that caused the conflict, and Death Row got blamed for it, or it was many times it happened like that. But I mean, it wasn't even a negative situation. Even in families, you have fighting and quarreling, but it's for the betterment of the family. You see, that was it for me.
Can I say something?
Sure, go ahead, Syke.
I want to say that Death Row is and was taking care of so many families, black families, you know, and paying bills. Gangbangers don't have to get out there and sell drugs and doing other things. It's music besides going out killing somebody, you know, so let's respect that. Let's respect that.
Stephanie,
you know, we can't always talk bad.
Okay, Syke, I hear you. Stephanie in New York City, thanks for holding. You're on BET Tonight. I'm glad you called.
Hi, Tavis.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. I just basically wanted to say that I think the reason Death Row Records pretty much fell off is simply because greed, not enough love for the brothers and each other. And I agree with the two authors. You have to love each other and everything. And I think Suge Knight was greedy, uneducated, and too street-oriented. And I think that's what's happening. This is on the West Coast, correct?
It is.
You know?
Or was, yeah.
You know, and I love, I like Tupac, and I really like Snoop Doggy Dogg, and I've seen them both kind of fall off, especially Snoop, you know what I'm saying? And he needs to go to a different place anyway. Maybe he should come to New York and get paid.
Hey, but can I say something, lady? It's street lyrics selling these records. So who you think should run the company? Tell me that.
I think basically that Snoop, his career is right where it should be, and he's going to come right back again.
So Snoop's going to be okay.
And he didn't even fall off. You know, he had some really good stuff on his last album.
So Snoop's going to be okay.
Yeah, he's in, I mean, I don't know if, I mean, professionally his last album wasn't as bad as people were saying it was. It was just in transition. And the thing is, a lot of people say they want artists to be a certain way. Then when the artist is trying to make those changes, the same audience that demanded the change from Snoop finds it difficult to accept it. So, you know, with some people, you know, Snoop can't win no matter what he does, but I think that his last album was all right.
Hey, Syke, right quick, before I get back to these phone calls, what do you think Master P can do for Snoop that Suge couldn't do?
Put an album out right now, I guess.
All right. On that
Put
note,
an album out right now.
On that note, we'll go to Dawn. Dawn in Nebraska. Thanks for holding. You're on the air.
Yes, I'm originally from California, and my brother is a DJ and works in a music store in California, in the northern part in Sacramento. I would like to know, is it true that there is an unreleased Tupac record that came out? Well, it didn't come out. It was unreleased. Death Row destroyed it. This is a rumor that I heard. Tupac's mom has access to it. It's Machiavelli Part 2, and I heard that there was 11 songs on it, and they were featuring Jodeci, Daz.
Yeah, can you get my royalties for that?
Big Syke, incorrect. I want to know, is that true? All the songs have no names? I would, is it
what do you
true?
got? Okay,
yeah,
what do you got about the rumor?
They got a bootleg tape out right now. I just heard it today. All the songs we did at Death Row, it's floating the streets right now.
So what she heard in part is true, Syke? About the bootleg?
Yeah, no question.
Okay.
Yeah, the bootleg is out there. All the rest I don't know about.
I am out of time. I wish I had more time to continue our conversation. I don't. Let me thank, again, McKinley Malik Lee Jr., author of the book Chosen by Fate. Let me thank my friend Ronin Rowe, Have Gun Will Travel, The Spectacular Rise and Fall of Death Row Records. And you know I can't leave out Big Syke out in L.A. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you.
All right. BET Tonight continues in just a moment. We, of course, will see what happens in the coming days and months to Deathrow Records and Suge Knight, its founder. But BET Tonight, for the moment, continues.
See what's going on. Get your attention. That's what the jokes are about. But